I'm a dork that likes girls, and today we're going to talk about one of my all-time favorite dream girls of the 90s.
Rachael Leigh Cook.
A few weeks ago, I made a really random video about my all-time top 5 favorite it girls of the 90s. And granted, it's a personalized list, and if I made another list for the same thing today, it would be different chicks. But I was surprised by two things. One, the most commented girl that was not on the list was Rachael Leigh Cook. And then I was surprised I didn't put her on the list because she was one of my favorite dream girls of the 90s. So much so that one of my college roommates, when I run into him today, thinks that She's All That is one of my favorite movies because when we lived together in the late 90s, I had a copy and I watched it all the time because I was in love with Rachael Leigh Cook. And so all these years later, he still thinks that I just sat around watching She's All That all the time. The first time I remember seeing Rachael Leigh Cook was in an anti-drug commercial. It was a reboot of an 80s commercial, This Is Your Brain on Drugs.
This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
This is your brain. And this is heroin. This is what happens to your brain after snorting heroin. And this is what your body goes through. Wait, it's not over yet. This is what your family goes through. And your friends and your money. And your job. And your self-respect and your future. And your life. Any questions?
Then, of course, she rose to superstardom across from Freddie Prinze Jr. in She's All That. It was just a formulaic teen rom-com where she goes from nothing to prom queen. She's All That was a who's who of late 90s Hollywood actors. In addition to Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachael Leigh Cook, you've got Matthew Lillard, Paul Walker, Kevin Pollak, Usher, Gabrielle Union, Lil Kim, Dule Hill. It was a great cast, and it was a very watchable movie with pretty people and an exotic location for somebody living in the Midwest anyway. So it was a fun movie, and it catapulted her to superstardom. After that, though, she never really achieved the same kind of success. She went on to star in a live-action version of the cartoon Josie and the Pussycats, which I remember trying to watch because I loved her. And I'm sure I wasn't the target audience, but I just remember it being a horrible, horrible movie. After that, the only place I would see her for a long time was in magazines. In 2002, she was ranked number 26 in Stuff Magazine's 102 Sexiest Women in the World. She also appeared on the cover of FHM, but for me, she was pretty well done in the movies. Later on, she would get politically active, and I'd see her in the headlines every now and then working for the Obama administration. And it wasn't until about 2008 when she guest starred as Abigail Lytar in 2 third-season episodes of the USA Network series Psych, which I loved. Fantastic show. And then she was back again the following season with a recurring role. I've never heard exactly how she got that part, but I assume it's because she was still friends with Dule Hill, one of the stars of the show, and I believe he produced some of it as well. So I figured that friendship probably is what led her to being on Psych. If you ever get a chance to watch Psych, I might do a full video on it sometime, but it is one of the most underappreciated shows in television history. It was always loaded with huge guest stars, from Judd Nelson to William Shatner to Ali Sheedy. Too many people to name. So check out Psych if you get the chance, and you'll enjoy seeing Rachael Leigh Cook in it as well. As an actress, Rachael Leigh Cook is one of those that's kind of one note. She reminds me of Jennifer Aniston. If you've seen her in one role, you've probably seen her in all the roles. But she's incredibly attractive and likable on screen. Seems lately she's been relegated to Hallmark movies and the kind of stuff that former FHM cover girls seem to always end up doing. And that's a little sad. But she has aged gracefully. She's a beautiful woman, and I thought it was worth bringing her up since people kept mentioning her in the comments. If there are any other dream girls you'd like to talk about, mention them in the comments, and maybe we'll do a future video on them. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.